I'm Sajid Dipto, and I'm a PhD student at George Mason University. Today, I'll be presenting my research on covert channel risks in biomedical systems. It focuses on sEMG, signal exfiltration, and speech reconstruction on threats in clinical networks. This research actually addresses a critical intersection of healthcare technology and cybersecurity. We examine how medical devices designed to help patients can inadvertently create security vulnerabilities in our research. And this presentation covers the threat, demonstrate its feasibility, and propose comprehensive mitigation strategies, and also shows how to reconstruct audio from EMG signals. So let me begin by explaining some specific problems we are addressing. So actually, surface electromyography, that's short form for sEMG. These sensors are increasingly used in rehabilitation medicine to monitor facial and neck muscle activity for patients with vocal fold disorders and also swallowing difficulties. Now, these sensors detect electrical signals from muscle contractions, and they are connected to hospital networks for real-time monitoring and data collection. And now the problem is these connected devices create unintentional covert channels. So a covert channel is a communication path not intended for information transfer, which can be exploited to leak sensitive data. Uh, and also, legacy medical devices often lack modern security features like encryption and authentication. This actually creates an attack surface where raw sEMG data can be intercepted. So there's a critical point here. That is, what makes this particularly concerning is that raw sEMG data contains enough information to reconstruct private speech conversations, uh, which essentially turns a medical monitoring device into an eavesdropping tool. Now, why this matters from both technical and human perspectives. Now, HIPAA regulations protect patient health information, which includes conversations with healthcare providers. Speech reconstruction from sEMG violates this privacy without the patient's knowledge or consent. Sensitive medical discussions, diagnosis, and personal information could be exposed. From the clinical trust and from the trust perspective, healthcare depends on patient trust in the confidentiality of medical interactions. If patients learn that their devices can be used for eavesdropping, it undermines the therapeutic relationship, and it could lead to patients refusing beneficial treatments. That's the fact, actually. And also, FDA guidance on medical devices cybersecurity requires manufacturers to address these risks, and failure to address these vulnerabilities and risks expose healthcare institutions to regulatory penalties. Now, the real world threat, let's talk about that. This isn't theoretical at all. Our research demonstrates that speech reconstruction is achievable using standard deep learning tools and publicly available datasets. Any adversary with moderate technical skills could exploit this vulnerability. So let's talk about the architecture actually. So I have developed a layered security framework that addresses threats across the entire data lifecycle, from sensor to storage. So multiple layers can be defined, like authenticated transmission. All wireless communication, like through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, use mutual authentication. Both the sensor and receiving workstation verify each other's identity. And this prevents rogue devices from joining the network. And then end-to-end encryption. like TLS 1.3 for Wi-Fi connections, the latest transport layer security standard, and Bluetooth secure connections also. And then we can talk about role-based access control, implement the principle of least privilege, and clinicians see only their patients' data, and researchers access only de-identified dataset. Administrators have limited access to the system configuration. So this isn't just adding one security feature, it's a comprehensive defense in depth strategy where each layer provides protection, even if another layer is compromised. So to design this framework systematically, we used the stride threat modeling methodology. So stride means spoofing, which is impersonating sensors or workstations, and then tampering, modifying original data, repudiation, it's denying unauthorized access, and then information disclosure, then denial of service, like flooding attacks. And the last one is elevation of privilege, that is bypassing some controls. And yeah, we created data flow diagrams showing how SEMG data moves through the system from our sensor to workstation to database to export and analyze each connection point from these threads. So here we can see the stride framework. Here we can see that there's patient environment and raw EMG signals go from patient space to um, some signal processing and visualization process. And before that, it goes through Bluetooth or Wi-Fi data transmission. And now the after receiving the EMG data for signal processing and visualization, it goes to the data manager and saves into the hospital database. And in the meantime, um, there is a data export handler where clinicians can request the export of the data, and there is also credential storage for clinicians. So this is the hospital network, as we can see. The problem is these EMG data can be exported for research or some other purposes to external entities. And this data can be saved in the cloud for further backup. So the cloud storage provider, research institution, they are actually external entities. And these external entities can pose threats into the network. And that's the actual main problem. So the most critical vulnerabilities exist at the wireless transmission layer and during data export. This became our primary focus for mitigation. Now, let me demonstrate the technical feasibility of the speech reconstruction attack that motivated this entire security framework. So this is the actually attack model. Our speech reconstruction model uses a hybrid architecture combining convolutional neural networks with transformer attention mechanisms. So if we talk about input specifications, we use 8-channel sEMG sensors placed around the face and neck. That's the data set. Sampling, those data are sampled at 1000 hertz, that is 1 kilohertz, and it is a standard practice for clinical sEMG systems. And this is the sensor configuration used in the actual rehabilitation devices. Um, and this is the actual input data. Now let's talk about the feature extraction, that is convolutional neural network. So residual CNN blocks process the raw EMG signals. These extract special features which muscles are active and their contraction patterns. Think of these as learning the fingerprint of how your muscles move when you speak. And then there's temporal modeling, which is transformer encoder layer. The transformer encoder captures the temporal dependencies. Speech is sequential, as we all know. The order of muscle activations matter actually, and these components learn how muscle patterns evolve over time to produce phonemes and words. So we use dynamic time warping. A key challenge is aligning the silent speech, EMG, with vocalized speech. So when we speak silently, the muscle patterns, when a patient speaks silently, the muscle patterns are similar to someone who can speak, but not identical to vocalized speech. So dynamic time warping helps our model to learn this correspondence, this mismatch. And then our another novel contribution is Lyapunov regularization. And Lyapunov regularization, we used that for calculating the Lyapunov loss. So this is a stability constraint during the training. As we can see in the diagram, there is GTW loss, there is phoneme loss, and then there is Lyapunov loss. So Lyapunov regularization, it ensures the model produces consistent outputs, even with noisy EMG signals. And this is important for real-world deployment where signals quality actually varies. So the question is, does this actually work? Let me show you the results now. This is the demonstration. This is our actual simulation where we got 32.22% word error rate. So before that, let's talk about performance metrics. We evaluate speech reconstruction using word error rate or WER. It is a standard metric in speech recognition. Lower word error rate means better performance. The previous state of the art from Dr. Gaddy and Klein in 2021 research achieved 42.20% WER, but our model achieves 32.22% WER, so that's a 23.7% relative improvement in in error reduction. And what this means actually, a 32% word error rate means approximately 2 out of every 3 words are transcribed correctly. And think about that for a moment, because reading a sentence and imagine every third word is wrong, but two of them are correct. We can still understand what the general speech means, what the sentence is meaning. This is sufficient for command recognition, like the password is or my name is. So keyword extraction works well with the name, location sensitive information. In a clinical context, this could reveal diagnosis, treatment plans, and patient personal information. So this was accomplished using a public available dataset that is 19-hour long EMG data from Dr. Gaddy's research. So now let me talk about privacy implications. So let's step back for the technical metrics and think about uh, what those means actually. Like short commands are reconstructed with high accuracy. Then medical instructions like take this medical twice daily or some pins or passwords, and then uh, also achievable with the standard hardware and deep learning models. It is actually implement. Uh, uh, we can actually implement this, and surface EMG must be treated actually as high sensitive biometric data. So actually, this is the problem. And now we talk about mitigation, which is secure transmission. First of all, for Bluetooth Low Energy devices, that is BLE, we implement secure connections, the most secure BLE pairing method, so that attackers don't attack. This uses authenticated pairing, ensures both devices verify each other's identity before connecting. Then Wi-Fi security, we specify strong cipher suits, like, and also TLS 1.3 is mandatory for all Wi-Fi connections. Certificate pinning prevents man-in-the-middle attacks by ensuring workstation only accepts certificates from known and trusted servers. And then for authentication, this is an enhanced security association protocol uh, that is specifically designed for wireless medical sensor networks. It can provide lightweight authentication suitable for resource-constrained medical devices. And it can also address the unique challenges of medical environment, device mobility, patient safety requirement. And for key management, periodic key rotation, that is, keys expire and are regenerated automatically. Then no default credential. Each device has unique randomly generated keys during provision, and keys are stored in hardware security modules where available. So implementation challenge it's actually challenging for implementation. Many legacy medical devices can support modern encryption. Our framework includes a secure gateway approach for these devices. The gateway handles encryption on behalf of devices that can. So now let's talk about the RBAC, role-based access control. Clinician role is access control to their own patient's data, and they can view real-time monitoring and historical data records, and they cannot export raw MG data, and all actions are logged with timestamps. And researchers' role is that they cannot see patient names, medical record numbers, or dates. They can export, require IRB approval documentation, and something like that. And SQL injection defense, we have to make sure that object relational mapping libraries that automatically escape dangerous characters, and then encryption at rest. That is, all sEMG data is encrypted in the database using AES with hardware-backed key management. And um, we also have to consider admin controls. So these are also export governance, de-identification, cloud encryption, and secure channels are also very important for mitigation framework. So the validation approach, if I want to talk about that, uh, there's we have completed a threat modeling, we have our data set, then I then we saw security metrics like encryption, strength, authentication time, and access logs. And we also have to consider device compatibility for if we want to validate our approach. So these are some results and future directions. Our work demonstrated speech reconstruction feasibility, which is 32.22% validity rate, which is very low. And we also proposed a mitigation framework. And our future works direct real-world tested validation with physical devices and signal transformation, which preserves clinical utility. So in conclusion, physiological signals actually they are high-value communication media and they require rigorous cybersecurity engineering actually. So layered defenses actually can mitigate covert channel risks. So, thank you very much.